So, here we have an interview. Not just any interview, but an interview with a very special man. He is an actor, a writer, a journalist, comedian, TV presenter, and film director. Thank you, Wikipedia, for reminding me of those facts. There you hear that distinctive chuckle. Here we go, Mr. Stephen Fry.
Oh, Luke, my darling boy, my Luke, and you and your wonderful little podcast. I've been listening for many months. Oh, yes, I've been putting it on the old pod and jogging around Surrey, and I must say I've been enjoying your wonderful peripatetic journeys around the world of gadgets and arts. You and the other one, yes, it's been quite a lovely little ray of sunlight in my day. So what a pleasure it is of mine to be on your podcast. Oh, anything you want to ask, just let me know.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Fry, I'm honoured. Thank you. I didn't realise that you'd been listening to my podcast for months.
Yes.
I wasn't aware anybody had been listening to our podcast for months, quite frankly. But
down at the Groucho Club, yes, it's quite the talk of the town, I must say, yes.
Oh, wow. Well, Mr. Fry, let's start, as we mean to go on, with a little chat about your most recent autobiography, The Fry Chronicles.
Yes.
So it's the second volume of your autobiography. Been out for a few months now. Very, very positively received by the critics. And I just wanted your thoughts on the critical and commercial success it's had.
Oh, young Lucas, you are a sweet little dumpling for saying that. I do thank you so much. Well, yes, after the first volume of the autobiography, you know how busy I've been, but I just kept getting people like yourself who kept asking for a little more insight into me. Now, why they should want to do this, I wouldn't know myself, but they have been persistent in asking, and so I had to deliver, and I'd brought out, as you say, the Fry Chronicles, which is the wonderful story of my university times and my lovely early comedy stylings, along with my beautiful friends, bouncy Emma Thompson and my beloved colleague Hugh Laurie, and of course the raw sexuality of Tony Slattery, and our wonderful first forays into the exciting, wonderful world of comedy, and all in the backdrop of Thatcher's 80s. And I have to say, it was a very interesting time to be living then, and certainly an interesting time to be doing very well. And I stopped just before my 30th birthday, which is where the ugly face of cocaine rears its head in our life. But we won't be talking about that now. That's not in the book, you see.
Wow. Yes, that sounds great. You actually mentioned in those with those actors and actresses, Emma Thompson, Tony Slattery, and also Hugh Laurie. Who has had some pretty big success in America over the last couple of years with his starring role in House. I was just wanting to ask you, what's your take on that? Your old pal, cracking America, cracking Hollywood.
My beloved Macaulay, I could not be happier for him. Scarcely a thought passes my mind of Macaulay Hugh without streams of hot love issuing forth from within me. Oh, I turn on the television, there he is at all hours, and I just think, oh, darling Hugh, how well you have done, and from such humble beginnings. Did you know Hugh did not originally start as a comedic figure? He was training for the boat race for 18 hours a day when I met him, and he just decided it's either the boat race or it's the footlights. Well, he picked the footlights, and in fact, in the end, got a third, which is a little bit of an embarrassment to him. But look at how well he's done. Oh, I swell with pride when I hear of the manifold, wonderful achievements of young Hugh. Oh, I tell you, I'm simply arse-clenchingly proud of him, and continue to be to this day.
Oh, very excellent. And I'm sure he feels the same of you, with your success. You are, of course, synonymous with your love of a very particular technology company.
Yes.
Yes. Your fondness of Apple is very, very well known. However, Mr. Fry,
Yes.
I interview you several hours after the very surprising news that you have actually accepted a deal with Microsoft to become their official spokesperson. And this comes after years of criticizing their, and I quote, clunky, inefficient operating systems. And yes, I'm just curious as to how, after years and years of Apple evangelism, you would choose to endorse this product, Windows.
Those quotes you give are piffle and pshaw and tummy rubbish. This is something quite different. For a while, it's true, under the spell of young Steve Jobs and his lovely little machines. And you know, they were very nice toys, but at some point a man has to grow up, and a man has to deal and grapple with, some professional level of technology. And yes, it's true. I love a gadget, and I love to play around and tinker with a toy, as it says. But I have to say that the recent offerings of young Billiam Gates have been, I'd say, quite adequate. To be putting it quite lightly, I have been very pleased. Now, there's a little device which I would point your way. It's called the Windows 7 phone. I wonder if you've heard of it. This is something which I think will be revolutionizing telecommunications in the future. Yes, I think if you in 5 years look down in your palm, you will, at a certain time of day, probably be likely to find a rather fancy little device, which means you can surf Her Majesty's internet yourself from your handset. Now, I challenge you to name another device other than the Microsoft Windows 7 phone, which currently on the market can provide you with such a distinct and pleasurable service. Now, Lucas, could you do that?
Without meaning to sound disrespectful, Mr. Fry, what about the iPhone 4?
Piffle and pshaw! I've heard this, and you see now, the iPhone 4 This is merely the limits of this piece of machinery are absolutely. I could draw you diagrams, young sir, that would limit you exactly. I could show you. I merely must say that the Microsoft technology is miles away. It is eons and fathoms beyond anything that young Stephen Jobs has dreamt in his wildest dreams or imaginings. And I would say that the young team behind Microsoft, and especially their wonderful, marvelous Windows 7 phone. Now, that is something which I think you will be hearing a great deal more of, and especially I would not be the first person to, I may be the first person you've heard endorsing this product. I assure you I will not be the last.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Fry. Mr. Fry appears to have left us. I do apologize to Mr. Fry if I caused any offence that led to him hanging up early. So, oh dear, yeah. I thought it was all going so well.